This video is sponsored by Heyday. Hello, my furniture friends. Katie here from Salvaged by K. Scott. I am about to start working on this 1930s, maybe 1940s Art Deco era waterfall style china cabinet or display hutch that I found out at the curb for free, actually just across the road a few months ago. When I first brought this home, I was planning on stripping back the finish that's on here, dealing with a few of the minor issues that it has, and giving it a true restoration job that would make it look like it did when it came off the factory floor. But the longer that it's been out here in the garage, the closer look that I've got at things, and the more I've thought about it, I've actually changed my mind, and I've decided that this is going to get a painted finish with some really pretty glam undertones that should really highlight all of the gorgeous details that are completely lost in this dark brown on brown finish, and pay tribute and homage to the beautiful Art Deco era that this thing is from. So aside from wanting to eliminate the dark on dark on dark kind of cave effect that is happening inside this, another deciding factor in wanting to paint it and kind of overhaul the design of it instead of doing a restoration is that this has already been refinished at some point. The handles on here are not original Art Deco style. They probably would have been solid brass with maybe some Bakelite details. I can also see some sanding damage. There are some pretty significant swirl marks from a random orbital sander on the door panels. This center panel between the doors, the veneer on here has been sanded through to expose the plywood underneath. There's some pretty gnarly scars going right across the grain on the waterfall front edge here. There are some drips in the polyurethane finish that they applied, and there's a pretty decent wound on the side here. So all of that goes into the consideration of whether I'm going to completely overhaul the design or I'm going to attempt a true restoration. Before I do anything though, I need to get the space heater out here cranking to warm things up. It is currently negative 21 degrees Celsius outside. I'm not sure what the temperature is in here, but I know that it is too cold for me. So while that is warming things up, I'm gonna head back inside for another hot cup of coffee and to check on my Heyday farm. The winter weather right now has me craving my garden, but with Heyday, I can get my farmer fix, build, design, and personalize the perfect place to take care of adorable animals like chickens, cows, and pigs, grow crops that never die, and I can harvest whenever I have time, and build a little business selling homemade goods with what I've produced on my farm. There are even communities to join where you can trade supplies and compete in fun weekly events with neighbors and friends. Heyday is free to download on iOS and Android, and until February 15th, you can get a free gift package worth $15.99 of 16 different decos to personalize your own farm, like this vintage typewriter, these blue hydrangeas, or this cute picnic set. Just click the link in the video description or scan my QR code and then click the same link again once the game is downloaded to get your reward. It will automatically appear when you open the game. You just need to click claim. Okay, I think the first thing I'm going to do is remove the doors so that I can dismantle everything and take apart all the different components on there. And I do see some mold growing on the shelves inside. So I'm going to spray the entire interior with some of this mold control spray, which needs to sit on there for quite a while and fully dry to kill any mold or mildew spores. And once that's dealt with, I can move on from there. don't think I'm gonna paint these mullions. I'll just leave them as they are, mostly because they're really delicate. And if someone does want to do a more traditional restoration on this down the line, it would be pretty impossible to remove the paint from these without destroying them. Okay, day 2. I actually came out here again last night and resprayed the entire unit with another layer of the mold control spray. And I made sure that I got everything really well saturated. So the top of the cabinet, the bottoms of all the shelves, and enough liquid in all the corners and seams that it would drip down and get into all those little crevices to do its thing. Then I left it all to dry out overnight, which is what the instructions say. So now it is looking pretty crusty in there, but it doesn't smell at all anymore. No more mold or mildew or just that old furniture smell. Next step is going to be to give everything a good clean, to get rid of the crusty residue stuff on the inside, and also to make sure that there aren't any old furniture polish or wax residues on the outside, or the inside, I guess. Because those can really wreak havoc with a new finish adhering properly. I am also now seeing how wonky and warped these shelves are. You're going to make me pull them out and replace them with new ones, aren't you? I thought so. I thought so. Okay. Shelves are coming out. I guess I should take the back off too. Clean everything. And then we'll figure out next steps. There are a bunch of extra holes on these doors that need to be filled in. I'm going to be replacing the handles with some single drop holes, and I'm going to need to move where the door latches go to. So I'm going to fill in the bigger holes with some dowels and glue, just in case I need to re-drill in the same vicinity. And the smaller holes will get filled in with some regular filler. And while I've got that filler out, I'm also going to put some on the patch on the side of the cabinet and a few other little scratches that I found while I was cleaning. Now that these are dry, I can chop off the excess dowel and get started sanding. I want to smooth out as many of the scratches or dings as I can, and a lot of the finish on here is pretty rough and gritty to touch, so I want to smooth that out so that my finish will be smooth too. I took a quick trip to Home Depot to figure out some new shelves and ended up going with a couple of these pine boards. A half sheet of plywood is almost $35, and since I'm painting them anyway, I'd rather just keep the cost as low as possible. These are 1/2 inch thick too, so they'll hold more weight and won't bow like the old 1/4 inch plywood ones did. I'm just gonna trace out the length and these notches of the old shelves and cut everything out with my jigsaw. To prime all of this, I'm going with some clear shellac spray instead of my usual white shellac-based primer, mostly because it's easy to spray on, and it's gonna put a nice clear protective coating over all of the wood grain. Again, so if someone wants to strip the paint off in the future, it'll be way easier to do. It's also gonna seal in any odors, although I'm fully confident that I've already solved that issue, and it will seal in all the knots in the pine shelves so they don't bleed through the paint. Okay, my primer layer of clear shellac is nice and dry, so I'm just gonna go over everything one more time really quickly with a fine 400 grit sandpaper. Again, just to knock back any little dust particles that did get caught in the shellac. Make sure it's nice and smooth, and then I think I can paint. I'm going with one of my favorite paints, this Emerald Urethane Enamel by Sherwin in their color Blue Peacock, which is a gorgeous, rich, dark teal that I think plays really well with the Art Deco vibes. And I'm gonna spray this on with my pneumatic sprayer because it's fast and will give me the best finish, but this paint can be brushed or rolled too if you need to. I'm gonna give it a good mix to make sure everything is well incorporated and then pour it through a strainer into the hopper of my gun. And I'm probably gonna need to add a few tablespoons of water to thin it out a little bit because it's pretty thick. respirator on because we don't want to be breathing in atomized paint particles. I pulled out enough air hose to get around the garage, made sure that my pressure was set to 40 PSI, tested out the spray on a piece of cardboard, and once I was happy with the flow, I started putting down my first coat. Okay, in the last 4 hours, while this has been drying, I hung out with my kids when they got home from school. I made dinner, fed everyone, got cleaned up, and transferred a bunch of video files from my camera to my laptop so that I can pull this together for you. But this is nice and dry now. I'm loving the color now that it has dried down. It is much more what I had in mind than what it looks like wet. But I am finding with Sherwin-Williams blues, they're a lot more sheer than what I expect. So it's okay. I love the paint, I love the color. It's probably just gonna need a third coat, but I'm going to put a little bit more paint in the hopper of my spray gun, spray on the second coat, go to bed, because I'm tired, and we'll see what things look like in the morning. There's still a couple of light spots where I sanded the stain away to the bare wood color and where I have filler. So I'm gonna go over my paint with my 400 grit again, just to remove any little nubs, clean off the dust, and spray on one more layer before I flip the doors over to paint the insides of those frames. And then I have a really fun wallpaper that I want to apply to the backer board. Painting is done. So now I'm gonna kind of add all the finishing details to bring my design idea together. I ordered this wallpaper. It's actually a wallpaper mural with a gold background and some flowers and birds that I thought was really pretty when I ordered it. But the image on the Amazon listing and what it actually looks like in this box are not the same. 10 out of 10, do not recommend. I did think about returning it and finding something different. I took a quick look last night. I couldn't really find any replacements and ended up deciding that since I'm gluing it to the backer board, which is going to be on the back of the cabinet, behind the shelves, behind the doors with their decorative mullions and whatever ends up being displayed in there, it's not the end of the world. So I am going to go ahead and still use it, but if I had known what I was getting when I ordered it, this would not have been on the menu. The quality of the paper is actually quite nice. It's actually more of a plastic canvas, and the mural image is broken into 5 different panels. I think I only need 2 of them to cover my board. So I'm going to take a look at everything, figure out which 2 pieces I want to put on here, And this is not a peel and stick or pre-glued wallpaper. You do need either wallpaper adhesive or some other type of glue to stick it. And I'm going to use some Gorilla Glue spray adhesive that I have to stick it down to here, because it will do a nice job. It'll hold it while I need to, but it is also repositionable. So it'll be easy to peel something off and move it over if I need to. Or, like I said, down the line, if someone wants to take it off, it won't be such a big task. Oh, come on. For real. Why we gotta be like that? Gonna go on there like that. Are we seeing it? Do we see the vision? Now I just have to get it there with my only two hands. I gave the hinges a quick spray with some fresh gold metallic spray paint to brighten them up, and then cleaned all the gunk off of the glass with some Windex and a scraper before I started reassembling all of these different door components. Once I got all the hinges screwed back on, I put the glass panels down into each frame, and then the mullions, and all that gets held together with these little clips. Since I switched out the shelves and the old door latches were attached to the old middle shelf, I do need to install a couple of new catches, and I'm gonna put them up at the top of the doors this time. These just hold the doors shut so they don't flap around on you. I kind of just eyeballed a spot, marked off where I needed to put the screws, and then drilled some really tiny pilot holes so that the wood doesn't split or crack when I tighten up the screws. The last thing I need to do is install my new drop holes. These have such a more authentic Art Deco feel to them. So I'm just gonna drill a new single hole beside the old top holes that I filled in the beginning and screw these in place as well. Okay, now it's time to go back and take a look at the cabinet that I found sitting in the rain beside my neighbor's trash bins. Scratched up, filled with mold, and just not anything that anyone was gonna wanna put inside their home. And here is what it is looking like now. I don't know that it's exactly my style, but I do know that fun, colorful pieces like this are always really fast movers for me, specifically because they're not neutral and totally bespoke. I'm still not 100% sold on the wallpaper, but I do like how it plays off the wood in the doors, which sort of looks like more branches or little bird cages at the same time. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with my decision to paint this, but that's okay. There are tons of these cabinets out in the world because this type of furniture was really the first to be mass produced, and it doesn't need to be your cup of tea to be someone else's. Thank you so much for watching today, and thank you again to Heyday for sponsoring this video. Make sure you click the link in the description or scan this QR code to check out the game, and I will catch you all next time.